That looks good. Now what I'm going to do is take this is the countersink bit, and I will put some countersinks in the little bolt holes here in the front of the firewall. And this is if you're using the countersink bolts that come with the Hacker motor. This may not be needed if you have an off-brand of motor or some other kind that doesn't use those countersink bolts. But for the Hacker motor, just pushes right through those holes, just pushing that little knob out of there. Give it a couple turns. Don't push too hard. That just puts a little countersink bevel in there, and that gives it a little more friction too. When you tighten the nut, there's more surface area for the bolt to hold, and they're less likely to back out. That's how I prefer to do it. Now what we'll do is when we'll bolt our motor in there, we'll find out what side the wires are wanting to come out. They're either going to come out this side or that side, and whatever side that is, we're going to run these servo wires through the fuselage to that side of the airplane, and we're going to mount our battery right in this location, receiver back in this location, wherever all the servo wires lead to, and put our speed control basically down in this area on this part of the airplane. And that does that for that. The only thing we have to do left on this airplane, the SF-1, the other airplanes would be pretty much done at that point. But this one has the side force generators. What we'll do is we're just going to cut right through the center of that little slot, so we have two little tabs, much like we did when we did the fuselage. Cross braces. We'll slice this guy in half like so, and we'll have two little tabs left over on the front and the back. We'll cut them both, and this guy here with the black on it will go on the top. It slides into there in that little slot, and just like so. We'll just make sure that it's straight up and down. This red one here, the red and white one, goes on the bottom. And that's how that looks. And we'll just put CA on it like we do all the other parts. I just put some CA right down the corner on both sides. Make sure that it's square, straight up and down. And hit it with the accelerator. Press it down so there's no gaps. Probably do the two top ones first. Now with the two top side force generators glued on, this one will sit upside down a little bit flatter, and you can put the bottom ones on there. Alright, now that we got the side force generators on there, I'm going to go ahead and install the motor. And we're going to use the Hacker A2020L on this motor, on this airplane. And what we're going to see is there's a measurement between these bolt holes on the front of this motor. One of them is going to be spaced out 20 millimeters, and the other one has got about a 16.5 spacing. And you will notice that on the front of the motor that the 20 millimeter spacing goes across and the 16 millimeter spacing goes up and down. So this motor is only going to sit one way, with the wire hanging out this way or the wire hanging out that way, where it'll work. Otherwise it would be sticking up, the wire would be sticking up that way and wouldn't route very well. So we're going to determine which way it's going to go. It's going to go this way with the cable coming up the right hand side of the motor, or the airplane. And it's a tight fit here, but what we're going to do is we're going to push that prop shaft right into the center of the hole of the firewall, and it's a press fit. It'll pop right in. And then we'll take our screws and screw it in, and tighten those down good. And you will notice that with this motor, there's a small little wheel collar, a collar that goes on the front of that shaft. The thing is real important to put on there so that the motor is quiet. Otherwise the can walk back and forth and it'll make a humming noise. So make sure to go ahead and install that little wheel collar up on the front. It comes with the motor. Now we're going to lay the speed control back, hang the wires underneath the landing gear, and we're going to cut some Velcro. This is the little Velcro kit that I sell on my accessories page. Got both the hook and the loop. And I've already got the hook on the speed control from an earlier airplane. So we'll cut some of this loop material. And I'm going to place that speed control about an inch away from the firewall, or an inch away from the fuselage side here. That's good. We're not going to put the prop on yet. We're going to set that stuff aside. That'll be the last thing to go on. Now we're going to route our cables. We know everything comes on the right hand side of the airplane, so we're going to bring our servo wires through the fuselage and go ahead and plug everything in. Now with everything plugged in, we're going to determine where the receiver is going to go by the length of the cables. We also want to make sure that we're not going to interfere with the battery location, which is going to be basically right underneath the leading edge of the wing. It's going to be in this area, but we want to be able to shift it back and forward a little bit to play with CG, kind of get it exactly where you like it. And I like to play with that a little bit. And it's got this airplane has a very wide CG range, so you can put it really tail heavy and go practice hovering and inverted flat spins and that type of maneuver. And you can move the battery a little bit forward, a little bit more nose heavy, and then practice your precision maneuvers with a little bit better stability for precision. And I'm just going to try to wad these servo wires up in an area that looks like they're going to be out of the way. Give plenty of room for the battery. Looks like it's going to be a good spot. I'll go ahead and cut me some more of the fabric, the loop material. Again, we'll gather these wires up and get them in a nice corner there. Tuck everything up. Tuck everything away. Looks good. And then I'll just tape those servo wires down with a little bit of the blender. Just about like that. And we'll tape our antenna wires down. Alright, that's mounted. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the propeller and all its the prop driver prop with